Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go up and we're actually going to check out some of my food plots that I'm going to be putting in over the next couple weeks. I just got off work, just got out here. We have like 50 acres here. There's 24 tillable that we have rented out. I'm supposed to have my helper with me, but she wanted to go to her cousin's tonight, which is fine. But ultimately these food plots are only going to be for her for youth season, and if she don't get one during youth season, maybe being we're in Iowa, she can use that tag for any season, see if she can shoot the muzzleloader, otherwise shotgun season if she doesn't fill youth tag. We see a lot of deer here, thermal hunt for coyotes. I see a lot of does running around, and she's not head hunting anyways. We're just trying to fill a freezer, so I feel pretty confident she'll get one. But we're gonna make these food plots to kind of sweeten the deal, so right along with, and I'll run you guys through some of these food plots we got. So this first food plot, I'm kind of gonna make it a split food plot. I wanted to plant all maybe perennial clover here, but as you can see, we have a big brush pile from cleaning out this fence line here to make the field more productive, and eventually where this weeds are, we're gonna push all these stumps out this winter, and that's gonna be field also. So I don't want to put a perennial here and burn that and get this all tracked up with a bulldozer and kill that. Oh, I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's actually a doe right there. Full focus now. She's just kind of looking at us. We'll bump her out of here. She'll be back. Anyways, so the other thing with this food plot is I don't necessarily want to make it a destination food plot. We'll see if she'll bump out of here. The deer here are pretty tame. I don't know if you guys know some of the other content that we do. We do a lot of ammo testing and things like that. I have a range that's about 200 yards from here, and the deer will stand up here the whole time we're testing ammo. But so I kind of have a path cut around here. Mainly just kind of leave it open, nice cut grass for them to eat. I had brought up some seed beans and just kind of threw them out here after planting season, just some beans that we had laying around the farm. But I guess back to what I was getting at, I don't want to make this a any of the plots here like a really good destination plot. Plan on getting them bow season during the rut, shotgun season, because we do have a group that comes through this first season shotgun. I know some of you guys can be like, well, if you want deer and grow deer, you gotta, lock it down to yourself. Well, they're kind enough to let us coyote hunt, and if we needed to, we could go youth hunting there. Like, this property is only good if the wind's out of the northwest. If it's out of the south, I just have nothing here. All of our timber is on the north, and I can't come in from, the north side if the wind's from the south. So kind of the trade-off is for us to coyote hunt 1,000 acres of ground, we let them come through deer hunt, which to me is not a big deal, because we kind of have too many deer anyways. I would imagine in a 1 square mile here, we have probably somewhere in the neighborhoods of 60 deer per square mile, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit on why we have that. But I'm gonna jump out of the truck here and I'm gonna show you kind of what I'm thinking about doing, and it should work pretty good. So kind of the relative plan here, I want to keep it down a little bit. There's 6 deer that are standing over on this hillside. I was fine with them bumping them out of here, but I don't want to maybe completely bump them out of this property. So we have some apple trees here. They're pretty old, but I don't know if you can tell, they still got apples on them, so they're still viable. In the center of that apple tree, there's kind of a natural wallow where the deer always come to. I did put a little bit of mineral in there about a month ago. We can't hunt over bait. It's kind of a gray area with mineral. I do not want to put any mineral out prior to youth hunting. Our stand is going to be either in the cove next to the truck or this cove here. and that'll give us good shooting. I kind of want to draw a line right here. So everything from here up to those bushes, there's the fence for the neighbors. That's all going to be planted in a perennial clover because it won't get touched when we burn and push up the brush pile, clean up the corner, all that. And then this here, from say that bush to the truck, to the back of the truck, this is all going to get planted with a brassica blend. I think that's going to be a pretty good deer plot for the deer. I'll see if I can find some of the beans I threw out. Again, I just kind of threw them out to throw them out. So right here they are. I threw them out, oh, I don't know, first week of July. And I just threw them on the ground. And I was going to come back and brush mow to get the grass over top to kind of hold the moisture in and give them something kind of to root up against. But I didn't do it because I had ideas of what I wanted to do. So my plan for this plot here is I'm going to take, and I want to get my helper out here, and she's going to help me pick up the sticks. There's a couple sticks and logs and a couple things out in here. I want to get all this picked up, and I'm going to spread seed on that whole hillside from this bush here up on that whole hillside. And then I'll come in here about 2 days later, and I'm going to cut it and let the grass just lay on it. And then I'll come back in 4, 5, 6 days and see what the germination looks like. If it's not good enough, I'll lightly scuff it with like a harrow or something of that nature. I want to do as little till as possible because it's hard to tell on the picture, but this is a good slope here. And I want to do it as no till as possible. I think we should have good germination. It's fairly good soil here. The pH levels are good. There's some fertilizer in it. It's been a pasture forever. I mean, it's just, you know, good pasture. But that's my thoughts with that food plot, and I want to do roughly the same with this. The seed I got is from a local seed salesman. It's a custom blend that they make. It should be good. So that's the plan for this food plot. I'll take you guys to another littler food plot that's going to turn into a big food plot once we get some dirt work done as far as taking out stumps and stuff like that. So guys, actually walking back to the truck after showing you guys kind of what I want to do with that food plot. I kicked up 2 fawns that were actually bedded right next to where the truck was. That's what that doe was doing. They looked really good. They looked really healthy. They were pretty good size for, they were probably twins. We seem to have 2 does that are here every year that have twins with her. But they didn't get up and run away or nothing like that. They just kind of stood up out of the tall grass and walked down to where the doe was. I seen the doe the whole time. She was still standing down there. So yeah, I'll show you guys this next food plot and kind of some of the reasons why I don't necessarily want to tailor this place to hold deer all year round. There's enough deer, like I said, around here, but I want to make it a good destination for them to stop on their way through. So here's what I want to make the next food plot. Again, it's a hill here. I don't want to do a lot of tillage. We got a lot of this flowery stuff growing up. Probably what I'm going to do here is I'm going to brush mow all this first and then come back the other way and brush mow it again. And just to kind of get everything mulched up really good. Make sure we got all the sticks and stuff picked up. There's a couple stumps over here from a cherry tree that I had logged out of here probably about 10 years ago, but this should make a nice good, and I want to put the perennial like clover mix in here, and I think this will be a good plot spring, summer, fall. I'm not too worried about having this be a winter plot because we actually coyote hunt over here, so I don't want to make it a winter plot necessarily, because every time we drive here we're going to push them out of this plot every night anyways. So during the winter I would prefer them to get into this thicker timber of the neighbors. The thicker timber on that other food plot's just on the other side of this hill here. That's better bedding for them during the winter. But as we pan around here, I'll show you why we kind of have a hard issue with getting good mature deer to kind of come into ours and stay into ours. So everything on that hill over there is all 10-year CRP, set aside ground, and that guy that owns all that, I think he shoots 1 deer a year. Not quite my management style, I guess, but he owns land, he can do what he wants. So a lot of the big deer, the rut gets over and they go in there and they do not come back out until the rut starts next year. You never see them. You'll see them come through this valley. When I bow hunted this when I was younger, I had a trail camera in this little draw right here, and I had a trail camera up in ours, and they'd come through there one day, and then you wouldn't see them for 2 weeks, and then they'd come back through there, and you'd never see them again till the next year. So that's kind of where all of our good mature bucks are going, I believe. There's this property up here, and then there's another property on the other side of our road that it's not set aside like that. It's just big dark timber, and there's a lot of big deer in there as well. And I have had trail cameras on the west side of our property, and it was the same thing. You'd see a deer, you wouldn't see him for 2 weeks, you'd get a picture of him again, and nothing. So down here is another plot. We're not going to get this one done this year because we need to do some bulldozer work here in the corner. The cattle had kind of ruined it. The neighbor did some work putting in a new fence, and when he had the bulldozer here, I should have told the bulldozer guy, you know, paid him whatever to fix this corner, but you can't hardly drive around there. It's like 3-stepped with cattle trails from walking around it. So we're gonna get that fixed. There's a spring back here, back in these trees. There's a bunch of cedars. It's real thick. That potentially could be a plot that's gonna hold deer. You know, at a minimum, it could be another youth plot for Harper or Avery or Tom as they get older and can start youth hunting. But again, we coyote hunt all this thermal. I get a lot of coyotes out of here. This is all pasture down here in the bottom, and he's very grateful that, you know, we get the raccoons and coyotes out of there. So it's hard to not coyote hunt this, to make sure the deer don't leave here at night, because at the end of the day, for me, myself, I'm not deer hunting this. The kids are going to, and that time of year I'm not hunting anyways. So as long as they're here youth season and potentially through early muzzleloader, I'm fine with it. But again, in the winter, I'm not too worried about making this a winterable food plot. You know, I can come in here and plant either a perennial clover, or I can plant, come in here and plant like a winter wheat or something next fall and let this grow up in the spring as wheat, let it just about get headed off, cut it off and plant something else in there. I haven't quite fully decided down there, but that's kind of what I'm leaning to, something of that nature, because I don't want to disturb any of the cedars or trees or shrubbery that's in there, because I've seen it before. I've had coyotes come up through this draw, and actually we got one right by this tree. We went and recovered the coyote, and there was still a deer bedded up over here. It never moved. All the action we had going on, we were actually standing up here instead of down there on the fence. We were standing up here calling, and he worked his way up through there, ran right past the deer. Again, 2 guys standing here, the call's here, and the coyote coming up, and that deer never moved. So our does don't seem to be overly skittish here. They're conditioned to seeing people, equipment, tractors, things like that. They kind of just stand still and act like nobody can see them. So that's these food plots. Again, this one we're not going to worry about this year. This one I'd like to get something done with. You know, this is the first year that we haven't had cattle out in this pasture. I took a lot of the fences out, so I got to get through here and clean up all this, get something planted, and then I'm gonna have to kind of keep working at it to get the weeds and undesirable things kind of taken down and out of here. So we're done here. Let's go over to our other food plot that's 100 yards away from the house. That's a nice easy walk hunt where the deer kind of go every night. So this is coming up to another one of the food plots that I plan on doing for this fall. This one here, I'm gonna plant just like a brassica mix in, because I want to do something really fun with this plot for next year. It's kind of a really neat food plot. I've actually I've put a tree stand up over here, not in these beautiful walnut trees we have, but in a hickory tree over here. And the cool thing about it is, right there's the house. So these deer actually come out of the neighbors. It's a big dark timber up and through here, and then across the road is a big deep dark timber. And they'll actually come down, they'll walk this fence line. And now that I have this cut, every night I've had deer and turkeys out here. And then what they do a lot of times, depending on how busy everybody is, they'll actually come out across this, they'll go down towards the corner of the yard, and they'll bed over by our pond. Usually every morning I got 1 or 2 does laying down by the pond, and they don't get up or nothing when I go let the dog out in the morning. The dog don't bother them, and they don't get too nervous about it. But so for this year, I'm gonna put a brassica mix in here. Again, we're on a hill. Let me pull it up on the truck on how much we're sitting at. So we're at 8 degrees right now, and I'm kind of on a flat spot. I stopped on a flat spot, but there is kind of a hill here. I don't want to do a lot of tillage. I don't want this dirt to end up in my pond. This all flows down into the pond. So what I want to do is I'll no-till brassicas in here. I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I'm going to seed it. I'm going to wait a couple days. I'm going to come in. I'm going to mow this all down so the grass is laying on top of it to give it a good moisture barrier, or not moisture barrier, but a moisture blanket to help it germinate. We'll look at it in a couple days. We'll check the germination, and we will make a decision there if we're going to scratch it up a little bit with a harrow or something. But my plan is, so these trees are actually going to be coming out of here because it kind of messes with the flow of the field. It bumps out. It always has. The fence used to go on the back side of this. But again, I took all the fences out this spring just to kind of make the fields better. We don't farm them. I rent them out. So for me and for the farmer, it makes more sense to, you know, if we take all the fences out and can gain an acre of tillable, I get more money and the farmer gets more crop, so he gets more money, and we can keep putting fertilizer and things like that in the field to build back up the soil, because the soil was pretty bad. This was a hay field for sure for like 32 years. So it's not the world's best soil. It's been pretty milked out. It's pretty heavy, so pretty packed into. A lot of driving over, and cattle got out there quite a bit when it was wet over the years, and so it's rough, but we're working on it. So my plan for next spring is, I have this trail that's cut all the way up through the trees here. I want to plant a buffer strip down these trees to about where this pod is here, and then I'll come up in here and I'll kind of spot mow in there, and that will all just kind of be the natural grass that's in there. With the walnut trees, the nice part about the walnut trees is you don't get a lot of weeds. The bad part with the walnut trees is it's hard to grow things underneath them. So I'll just trim that so it's nice, clean, natural grass. And then this in here will be, I'll plant annuals in here. I won't put a perennial in here because I kind of want to mix this up. If I know that we're gonna maybe be doing, you know, 2 kids with youth tags, and we only get 1 during youth season, I want to be able to use this as a little bit of a winter plot. If we need to come in here during shotgun season, early muzzleloader or late muzzleloader, whatever they want to use the tag for. But I'll pull up here and I'll show you the other cool part about this food plot. Don't mind my dash, it's dirty. I know I need to detail this thing or trade it off, one or the other. So there's actually, this hill goes up and it goes back down, and there's a clearing down in here. Now, I don't want to do a whole lot of planning with that, but on this ridge here, right before it drops down, I would like to plant, say like 8 foot wide of sunflowers or something like that. And on the back side of this, being we'll never hunt on the back side, I'll put our mineral site there. So that way, again, like I said, in Iowa, we can't hunt over bait. The mineral sites are, I consider them bait. I know a lot of DNR officers consider them bait. A lot of hunters don't. So just to alleviate any issues, if I put that mineral site over the hill where if the deer's there, we cannot get a shot at them. And even with the, if we plant 8 foot wide of sunflowers, it's more of going to be of a visual thing for the kids. But if we plant 8 foot wide of sunflowers, we can't see them anyways. So then kind of for blind setup here, I believe I'm going to try getting, we'll put a like a pop-up blind up in here. That's going to be kind of our best bet. Problem is we almost need an east wind. There's another trail over here that the deer will come down, and they'll come down this ridge here, or they'll come actually from the back and then up over this little hump. So I haven't quite figured it out, but I think I'm going to put a blind somewhere in here. That way if the wind is out of the south, there's a good chance that we can get them coming down this where the old fence used to be and then coming in. Or if they come from our other food plot, the first food plot we looked at's right there. My other thought was putting a blind, see this kind of breaks downhill, but putting a blind here possibly and elevating it a little bit. Just to get, so we're kind of just shooting flat out. The big thing is, I kind of want to make it so no matter what, we can't shoot towards, as you can see in the mirror, the house is straight behind us right now. I want to make it so that there's no way, even if the deer's standing over there, that anybody, you know, if I let somebody else come out here and youth hunt, that we can have an issue with people shooting the wrong way. So if I put the blind there, I'm gonna have to do something. You know, I'll put windows out the south side, which is the way the house is. I'll put windows out the south side, but I won't make them open all, you know, I won't make them so they open or something of that nature. My other thought was, you know, we're using modern rifles for youth season. We can't use center fires, but modern rifles nonetheless. My other thought was setting up kind of where this tree is and just kind of making sure this grass along the field always stays cut. From the house to where we're at now is just over 100 yards. So I would say from where we are now to that tree is about 60. So 55, 60, somewhere in there. So it's a doable shot. You know, I've had my oldest daughter, she's shot at 100 yards, you know, a handful of times. If I take her out and get her acclimated for shooting 100 yards with that rifle, I have no issues with if the deer was standing here or even at the top side of this plot. You know, the top side of this plot right here to that tree, maybe 80 yards. So I would be fine with that. You know, usually I try to keep her, you know, as close range as possible, and it kind of helps take out the misjudgment or anything like that. And I feel like it's more exciting because they're up close. And but yeah, so I haven't fully decided on the stand location here, but that's a thought. Again, I have a trail cut all the way up here. It's twofold. If we take the trail up to the blind, we're not coming through the grass. If the deer are bedded down, yeah, they might know we're out here, but we're not making too much noise to excite them too much. And the other thing too is it gives me a nice trail coming up to the food plot and things like that. So I'm not just kind of beating down some tall grass. If they want to bed in this grass in the mornings or the nights, they can. I've had them bed down around these trees before. Monday morning, I let my dog out. There was actually one laying next to these trailers here. You know, we just parked these here this spring. Once we got all the cattle out of the pasture, there was actually a deer laying like right by this post. A lot of mornings, they'll actually come down. These are oak trees here, and the squirrels are constantly eating the acorns off and nipping the ends of the branches off, and the deer will come out here and eat the acorns. You know, which we're kind of spoiled that way. Again, there's a house here and a pool that the kids swim in all day, every day during the summer. There's a pond here that I'm in the process of redoing. We're actually gonna make this twice the size. The pond's gonna come all the way out here. We'll do a separate video on what we're doing with the pond when we get that far. But with all the noise, I have a dog. My sister's got 2 dogs. There's kids running around constantly here. The deer just don't seem to be as spooked. Again, we don't have big bucks here. This is kind of one of God's refrigerator kind of places where you're just going to fill the freezer with meat and you're not going to put any horns on the wall. But for youth hunting, that's what I'm happy with. So now that we've looked at all this, I'm going to take you guys in the shop and I'm going to go over some of the equipment and prices and some more final thoughts on it. And we'll close out this video. So to kind of go over some of the equipment, for the most part, this is all going to be done by hand. I do have a tractor with a brush mower on it, and I do have a 3-point mounted like tine harrow. So if I need to, that's going to help out a lot. But for spreading the seed, I'm just going to use just like the normal crank style seed spreader like you would in the yard. We're going to get the seed spread out that way. Try to make it nice and even spread. The big thing with those is keep the same crank speed and keep the same walking speed. And usually they do pretty good. So what I've always used for my food plots, I've never gotten too crazy into it, and I've always had good stands come up. So that's kind of the equipment. I do have the price for it. So the seed company that I got all the seed from is Welter Seed and Honey Company. They're located in Onslow, Iowa. If you go on their website, they have a catalog, and they do have a lot of really good different seeds. When I had called them, I kind of told them I was looking for a perennial clover, but then I told him I was going to use it in a food plot. So he actually talked me into this big buck perennial mix. It's got some other things in it, rapeseed and things like that, but it is a good perennial. There's red clover, white clover, things like that. So, and then the other thing I got was the brassica mix, like I'm going to plant in the big, nice manicured food plot, and then half of that apple tree food plot. The other half of the apple tree food plot and the one with the flowers is going to get that perennial mix. So what I got for weight wise, I got 15 pounds of the perennial mix, which is on the bottom side of an acre. They say 15 to like 20 or 15 to 25. Between those 2 food plots I'm going to plant in perennials, it's just over a half acre. So I'm going to plant 3/4 of it to start with. And then I'm going to check germination after about a week, 10 days, somewhere in there. And if it doesn't look like the germination's quite where I want it to be, I'll go in there with the harrow and I'll just kind of scuff it so we get better seed to soil contact. And then I'll kind of overseed at that point with the remainder of what's left, just kind of as an insurance policy. The nice part with the perennial, I can come back in. We got plenty of time for it to get growing good. I can see what it's going to look like prior to the frost, but if it looks like it's kind of spotty or not quite as thick as I'd like it, I can come back in there and I can frost seed just a clover to kind of thicken up the food plot, because I do want to keep those as a perennial. These perennial mixes are good for like 3 to 4 years, so as long as you maintain them, you're only going to be redoing those plots 3 to 4 years, and that's kind of what I want to do with those. Just kind of keep them as a spring, summer, fall plot, just as a forage, especially for those does with the fawns and things like that during the summer, so that they can get a good protein from the clover and things like that to help grow those fawns up, so they're strong by the time fall, winter comes. The brassica mix, I got 7 pounds. Again, 7 pounds is the bottom of the 1 acre window. They say 7 to 15 pounds on the brassicas per acre. Again, I think I have somewhere in that half to 3/4 acre. I'm going to plant 3/4 of it, check germination. If it's not where I want it, I'll scratch it up, and I will put the rest down as an overseed at that time if I need to. If not, I got a couple more spots I can kind of scratch up just to plant them, just to use up the seed. The seed's not very expensive. There are some good seeds that can be bought at your hardware stores and things like that. Your Whitetail Institute obviously is a proven seed source for food plots, and I get it. It's easy, it's convenient. You can get it at Walmart. For us, we have Tyson's, Farm and Fleet. All those carry it. I don't think that they're selling anything better than a seed rep will, and I would rather give my local seed reps and seed dealers money versus ordering off the internet or going to a box store and buying it. That's just my feeling on it. That being said, the perennial mix is $3.40 a pound. And again, 15 to 25 is an acre. So for my 15 pounds, it's $51. That's not that bad for, you know, as long as everything comes up good. We maintain it. You know, they kind of want it at that 4 to 6 inch range to keep it at. If it's getting up close to 8 inches, go out there and buzz it off down to about 3.5, 4 inches, and it'll keep on growing. If you let it get too tall, it can actually kind of just kill itself out. So that's the only thing with that mix is it's going to take maintenance, but it's good for 3 or 4 years. So for $51 spread out over 3 or 4 years, that's a pretty cheap food plot. The Nebraska mix, that's $2.50 a pound from them. So for our 7 pounds, we get $17.50. Again, $2.50 a pound for you know, a Nebraska mix to me is not that expensive. It's pretty doable, especially being that they're going to be kind of smaller food plots. Again, I used to do similar mixes, and what I would do is I'd go in on logging roads on some of the ground that I used to bow hunt, and I would just kind of take a rake out there and the spreader. I would rake all the debris off. I'd kind of scuff up the dirt a little bit, take the spreader and spread out the seed, and just kind of just not pack it down, but lightly walk over everything to make sure we had good seed soil contact. And I've always had good stands come up. You know, so again, kind of to reiterate what we're doing with these food plots, because as I'm filming this, it's like July 18th, I believe. Yeah, July 18th. A lot of you guys are gonna think, wow, that's pretty early to be planting like a Nebraska mix and even like these clover mixes, and it is. If I was going to strictly bow hunt this, shotgun hunt this, muzzleloader hunt this, I would wait until that 15th of August. You know, we usually got a pretty mild fall, so you could probably get almost to the 1st of September and get by still planting this. But being these are a youth food plot, I want everything grown and palatable and ready for that last week of September, 1st week of October. We have 2 weekends to go youth hunting. So that's what I'm focusing on. I'm not going to hunt this here myself. If there's an instance where maybe, you know, I miss a day shotgun hunting where I shotgun hunt and I'm at home and I see a deer out in the field and I have a tag, obviously I'll take it, but that's not really hunting to me. That's just filling the freezer. So this, like I said, strictly tailored towards the youth plot. If you're going to bow hunt this, take my days and slide them all the way back to August. Start planting August 15th at, you know, August 15th to 20th is kind of the ideal for the Nebraska and the perennials. You can get by, like I said, as long as you're, I would say, I'm, you know, center line of Iowa, you know, east to west, draw a center line. I'm right on that center line. I would say if you're that and below, you can almost go to the 1st of September and be okay and have everything come up the way it's supposed to and be okay. So yeah, I mean, that's the big thing with this food plot. As we get closer to doing it, again, I'm going to go mow down that one plot probably Saturday afternoon. Sunday, Harper and I are going to go up. We're going to get the sticks picked up. I'm going to get the seed spread, so that way everything's ready to mow. The other thing on why I'm trying to get this done right now is we got 8 days of rain in like the next 16-day forecast is what they're forecasting anyways. We'll see how accurate they are. So right now we're going to get free moisture. We should kind of bump up everything on the growth. So that being said, that's why we're trying to push to get that done right now as well, rather than waiting possibly another week. So as we get doing that, I'll have another video going over our step-to-step while we do that. And that'll probably be a week after this video comes out. One last final thing, we have a raffle going on right now for our coyote tournament that we do in February. The raffle is 1 ticket for $25, 5 for $100. There is 2 rifles on that raffle, a Howa H&S Precision 6.5 and an Axis Pro 243. Both are threaded barrels, both are tailored towards that thermal hunting, coyote hunting setup. Third place prize is an Atlas Reactive Target, the steel coyote, full-size coyote target. And fourth place is a custom Fox Pro that is identical to the one that we use with identical sounds and a tripod to keep it up off the ground. So that's part of the raffle. If you want more information, check out our Facebook page, 563 Outdoors, and it'll have all the information there. You can get a hold of me there. If you comment and want to get in the raffle, and maybe don't have Facebook or can't find the Facebook page and it's prior to the drawing on October 11th, I will comment and I will figure out a way to get a hold of you to get tickets if you'd like them. So that being said, we'll see if Sam will come shut out the video with us. Sam, come on, buddy. Come here. Oh, got the camera a little bit too high. All right. Well, we're going to go in and we're going to call it a night. This guy's ready for bed, I think. He's getting nosy. So, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you in the next video.